So glad to have you here, Kirsten, part of the FoodSocial family. We wanted to take time to just chat with you about your brand today. You're participating with the most significant level of support for our creators on FoodSocial and on behalf of the whole community. We want to thank you for that because it means so much to us, buying into the mission and the ethos of what FoodSocial means in terms of being a supporting brand or a creator. So thank you for that. Um, and we wanted to give you this platform really to introduce your brand to the FoodSocial community, like your story, and what it means to you to have this brand and how you've interwoven your life into it. Because I think as a brand owner, like many of us do that, it becomes a part of our lives. So I guess I was hoping we could start by you telling us a little bit about your brand and how it came to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's so great to be part of this. And thanks again for giving me the opportunity to meet everybody. And hopefully anybody who is watching the recording later, feel free to message anytime. And love meeting people. That's this type of thing I haven't had a lot of time for in the last couple of years. But this is like all I want to do eventually is just keep in contact with people and just collaborate and grow together, and support each other. So yes, Bill said, my name is Kirsten Sandoval, and I'm the founder and I would say chef EO at Mesa de Vida. It's a line of globally inspired starter sauces. And the mission of Mesa de Vida is to help people connect at the table through celebrating the vibrant flavors from around the globe. So I feel like it's a great connector. It's a way to learn about people, learn about the stories that have, the rich stories that have built these flavors and the people of the communities, and how here in America, it's just, I think, fusion food story, like it can be a little bit of a pro and a con, but all of the flavors that are from around the world have come from fusion as well, and just people coming together, and a lot of it has really sad stories behind it, a lot of it has really beautiful stories behind it, but I just I'm obsessed with that whole thing. And so I guess the origin story behind Mesa de Vida is that I was a private chef to professional athletes in the NFL, NBA, and WNBA. I was working with several of the Seattle Seahawks the years they went to the Super Bowl. So that was really exciting. And Stewie, who's now playing for the New York Liberty, Brianna Stewart, she was one of my clients when she was MVP in Seattle for the Storm. So I've learned a lot from those experiences. I worked with geneticists and doctors, trainers, and nutritionists to design their meal plans for optimized nutrition, optimized performance, optimized healing, and all of those things. So it tapped into what my goal as a chef was, because a lot of my players had already had a chef and they fired them when they were nutrition chefs because they were just, cooking chicken, broccoli, and rice. It was boring. Was just focused on the macros. And, so my goal was to get them to really enjoy food and enjoy healthy eating too. So that's where a lot of that obsession and the passion and the study that I put into learning about global cuisines came into play, because a lot of my players were from places around the world or grew up eating certain flavors because of their heritage. And so I wanted to give them the taste of those meals, or those flavors and those scents and those aromas and those memories in the way that met their macros. So it kind of developed into these sauces. I would just take a bunch of vegetables. I used to have to sneak my vegetables into my players. They were a lot of picky eaters. I find that a lot of the athletes grew up looking very healthy because they were always super athletic, and they could eat whatever they wanted for so long, and then they finally hit a breaking point where they couldn't. And a lot of them grew up, many of us who have children know, like when your kids are athletes or in tons of sports, you're on the road all the time, they're picking up McDonald's all the time, and so a lot of them had those habits. So I would pour, spinach, and I put all their like special oils or anything like that we were adding into it, and a bunch of vegetables, and then the herbs and the seasonings to give them the flavors. And then I would just develop each one for wherever they were from, whatever their mom cooked for them or their grandma cooked for them. And they were just really handy cooking sauces. So very similar to like Indian curry sauces or Thai curry sauces. The inspiration was from those, and I just adapted them to different places from around the world. So that's where they came from. I had the sauces made at a very tiny little co-packer for a couple of years in Seattle, and my kids and I would sell it at the farmers markets. It was a side hustle for me for years. And then Whole Foods called, and they wanted to take them national, which goes back to what we were talking about before, Bill, that shiny thing in front of your face, but didn't realize how expensive that was going to be. And we launched on the edge of the pandemic too. So that was a wild year.
Unusual conditions.
Big time. Yes. Oh gosh, yeah. So the company really is just me. It has been all along pretty much. I run all aspects of it, and just now start having a little bit of a team through some mentorship. So it's been great. But we're growing this year. We just picked up another national distributor. We did a rebrand. Some of you know, have seen the products before, those little jars that we had. I should have had them here. And now we're in taller bottles. And so they're much easier to spot on shelf and to use and keep in your cupboard and to ship. So yeah. So that's the story of Mesa de Vida. If you have any other questions, I don't know if you want me to go into my backstory. I know that was something
Where did the name come from?
Oh, I love telling that story. So Mesa de Vida means table of life in Spanish. And that came to be, well, it was my blog for many years, because it's another really strange story. I had like the #1 food blog in Seattle for a couple of years back in my previous life. And I focused a lot on flavors from around the world and all of that. So that's where it came from. The inspiration for the name, my husband, actually, he's from Mexico. And so I was trying to find a name that meant like, table of life, but life-giving table, life and food and all of that. And he threw out Mesa de Vida, and I was like, okay, that's it. So yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. There's Penny twice. We can't hear you.
I said I wouldn't give up. I finally got it going.
There you go.
Sorry, let me get out of the other. I'm so non-techie.
So are you in Seattle now, Kirsten?
Oh, I live in Southern California now. So I'm in San Diego County in a town called Oceanside. Yep. And the sauces are made in Denver.
Nice.
Very cool. So, part of being in the FoodSocial family is, this idea of community. And I guess I was just kind of like wondering, like, how do you see yourself like interacting with the community here? Like, did you want to try and like have people, sample the sauces, or did you want people to check out your recipes? Like, what's sort of the next part of this?
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, I would love to send sauce to anybody who wants them. So let me know. I'd be happy to get you a couple of jars. I think having my background as, content creator as well. And I worked as a spokesperson for like the Washington Beef Commission, Treetop applesauce, like, a lot of brands. So I know that side of work too. And I love to collaborate. I think any way that I can help support your communities, or who, you have following you, or your brands, I would love to do. I'm like, yeah, have some sauce, talk about it. We have an influencer program, of course, all that good stuff, but I would love to do collaborative work too. It's what I love to do. So if we can do recipes together, I have a very, I guess, like a very complex story behind my own personal journey. for some of you that may not know. So I was extremely unhealthy in my early 20s, had been most of my life. And I was diagnosed pre-diabetic, high cholesterol, high blood pressure in my early 20s. And my dad had heart disease, had already had an open heart surgery in his 40s. And, I was just heading down that path. My sisters were all pre-diabetic or diabetic in their early 40s. And I decided to just figure out what healthy meant, because what I was doing wasn't healthy. I was, on slim fast and protein bars and lean cuisine meals and exercising like crazy, but getting more unhealthy. So I started studying the blue zones, and that's where this passion for cooking came, because I had to start cooking real food and learning how to cook. And so I had that. It totally turned my health around. Didn't have to take any medicine, got healthy. And I'm a living kidney donor. So, really focused on that. I grew up in a family with kidney disease and heart disease. So I have a lot of that personal backstory that has, changed. And then, I guess if there's ever anything, like I know a lot of you have really inspiring brands and stories. It's not just about food too. So just another little personal story. My kids and I started our lives over with the help of a domestic violence shelter about 14 years ago. And so, any of those backstories that I can use to help, inspire your community or help you with your messaging, I'm always happy to share. I feel that I must have gone through it for a reason, and it's to help others. So, and then also just delicious recipes, if I can share any of that, or whatever we could do to help each other and collaborate, I'm happy to do.
You embody like Mesa de Vida, because to me, Mesa de Vida, like Table of Life, really is about that intersection of food and life. And I just really feel like you embody that so beautifully, and how you explain your story and how all parts of your lived story kind of have brought this brand to life. I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's been a wild journey. And looking back and seeing how every one of those little things created the fabric of this, quilt that's happening or being created on a daily basis. Yeah, it really is. I thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Great.
We have a Google form that I can send out to creators that we have a space in there to give their information, but also if they have any ideas for collaboration. So I'm happy to send that out to our creators. But I have a question. Where do you see Mesa de Vida in 5 years, or where would you like to see it in 5 years?
Yeah, that is such a good question. So, right now it's just these little starter sauces, but I really do aspire to have the brand continue. I want to create innovative and inclusive flavors. Right now when we walk down the grocery store shelves, there's, not a ton of flavors for everybody, and it's not as representative of like our country or the people who live here and all of that, or the flavors that we want to enjoy. So, and just a little backstory, we're about to lose our placement at Whole Foods because they're switching us to condiments, thankfully. So we're going to preserve some stores, but they're changing their flavor profiles back down to just 3 flavors in their global flavor section. That's it. Just 3 regions are going to be represented. So, and the world is just, our country's that's not how we are. Like, we're so much more diverse than that. So
Their loss.
yeah, right. Yeah, they do aspire to also, keep continually growing that. But, I want to provide products that truly solve, what's for dinner and help them cook. It solves like having to have a pantry full of, a bunch of herbs, spices. I know, Bill, yours, right? Your product does that too.
Yes.
Like all the vegetables and the herbs, and just really making it easier for people to enjoy healthy food and be, get dinner on the table and connect more often. And then providing the flavors that want to help. There's so many ketchups, barbecue sauces on the store shelves. We just need more and more pantry staples that truly help. So that's where that would be the goal for it, to continue to add more flavors, more pantry staples that are innovative and really help people. So yeah.
That's really how you help people eat healthily, because I know on FoodSocial we're all about recipes and meal planning, but at a certain point, you know, you go from walking to running and you can cook. You don't need to follow recipes for every single meal. And so having things like starter sauces, spice blends, like condiments, like things that help you draw in complex flavors quickly, create meals, like that's the beauty of healthy cooking, is that actually helps achieve that mission that you're talking about, where it's you help people do the do, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're so right about that. You know, we all can eat healthy, but that's not enjoyable. Like food is such a big part of most of our lives. Like we celebrate, birthdays are centered around food. I always say, you think back to almost all of the big happy memories in your life, it's almost always centered around the table. Something has happened at the celebration. So I feel like it's just a great opportunity to sit down, you know, 3 times a day, 2 or 3 times a day for most of us, that we can really take time to, you know, slow our lives down, enjoy each other, just sit with yourself, even if you're enjoying a meal yourself. And, you know, it really can be an opportunity to bring some magic and something special to every day. So, yeah.
Completely.
I also appreciate your sauces like uncomplicate healthy cooking. I think people are intimidated by the idea of healthy cooking because it's like, I don't want to stock my pantry with a million ingredients. Like I don't want to follow a recipe that has, you know, 25 ingredients in it. And so I love that with your sauces, like it really just parses down that list of ingredients so people can make a delicious, healthy meal. But I mean, all of your recipes require like what, 15 minutes tops of hands-on time, which is, that just makes it so much more accessible for people.
Yeah.
It's funny you said that, Pooja, because my pantry is never without Mesa de Vida in it, ever. Because it's like my favorite go-to if, oh, I don't feel like cooking tonight, but I took this out. Well, you can take any protein, seafood, or whatever out of the closet, pair it with some vegetables, and throw a jar of Mesa de Vida in it, and you are done. And dinner is fabulous without even trying. Whether you throw it in a slow cooker, in a one soup pan or one pot pan. And I mean, I've taken jars of her sauce, she knows, and made soups just by adding, you know, bone broth to it. And boom, it's done. It's just amazing. You truly need nothing else added to it.
Thank you. Yeah, I love your creative recipes.
She knows I'm a fan.
I love to see what you do with it, because of course we have our recipes on there that are pretty basic, you know, protein, sauce, vegetable, boom, there you go. But I love to see on FoodSocial what you're all doing with it, and just showing that, you know, it's for beginners and then people who are seasoned cooks that are amazing cooks, but still need help. We all need help.
Yeah, as much as I love cooking, but some
Mhm.
nights I just don't want to. I want to do as few dishes as I can and be done with it. Because
Dishes
you
is
just reach a
exactly.
point, you know, where you're like, I could do this, but look at, I could do this. So
I am right there with you. I'm a chef, and like that, literally, I need those quick meals all the time.
absolutely.
No more than ever.
That's why I feel like with my clients, your products come in so handy, because people want to be healthy, but they also want the like chicken, broccoli, and rice recipes, but they also want like real recipes, but don't have the time or the knowledge or whatever it is. So it's easy. I love products like yours. I can just be like, well, just go grab this, and you can have the easy meal, but you can dump the flavors in there, and then you kind of have like the best of both worlds, which I feel like is what your products do.
Very true. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Thank you.
And I think for beginners, flavor composition is really challenging. They don't know what seasonings go together, and your sauces really take the guesswork out of that for novices in the kitchen.
Definitely. That's the goal. Thank you.
Well, and then people learn that they just can baby steps into like being confident in the kitchen, because that to me is magic, because everyone can cook, but they just don't think they can. And so, you know, they recognize flavors. It's just, I don't know. I made sure all my kids knew their way around the kitchen, and they're all great cooks. And I just think it's a lost art. And so,
Yeah.
you know, products like this, it just also builds, you know, momentum for, you know, farther down the road. So it's beautiful. So
It's
Yeah.
so true. I mean, for as often as I've used Kirsten sauces, every time I like pulling the jar out, I read all the ingredients and then I'm like, what can I pair with this? So like she knows like a lot of mine I have with peaches or plums or apples, or like I'll look at the ingredients and say, what's going to go good with that? And it just
Yeah.
it's
it's just a muscle that
together.
everybody has. They just don't know how to use it.
Right.
And so it's a journey, and I love that with food. I love food. I just love food.
We all do.
You're in the right place.
I know.
right.
You're my people.
Yes, no kidding. You're right also, Michelle, about the flavors too, because I get so many people like, what is Moroccan flavor? What's North African? What is that? And this is like, it's a really easy, approachable way. Instead of going out and buying a whole meal, you sacrifice a jar of sauce or a bottle of sauce, some chicken thighs and maybe a couple of zucchinis, and you can discover those flavors and realize you love that. Start looking for Moroccan restaurants in your area and start expanding and finding out more about the history behind those flavors and the people behind those flavors and all that good stuff too. So I always hope it's like a gateway drug to
That's exactly what I was just thinking. Well, and like you said, Kirsten, it's like, say you see this Moroccan inspired dish that you want to try, but like you buy all these ingredients and then you don't know what to do with them after. So then they just sit in your pantry until they expire. But your sauces really solve that problem, because like I don't have to go buy a ton of those ingredients that I don't know what to do with after. Like I can just buy a bottle of your sauce.
Yep, exactly. Yep. That's the goal.
And it's way cheaper to buy a bottle of the sauce than 80 different everything else that you keep and don't use. So it's more cost effective.
Right. And what if you try something and you decide, I don't like those flavors? Then you can move on and you don't have a ton of things that you're never going to use again too. So it's just, again, a learning, teaching your taste buds, what it likes and what it doesn't. Cilantro, no cilantro, like
that is so true. It's something I would love to share, but I always think about how to approach it with our customers. Like, this isn't so expensive. Look, if you do this, but if anybody wants to share anything, I'd be happy to send you some sauce to do it with. But I mean, to break down the cost of going out and buying every spice that's in it, and the bell pepper. I mean, a bell pepper at Whole Foods is like $6 alone. Something, if you buy one of the big ones by the pound, and you added some tomatoes and the cilantro and everything, and it's up like upwards of $18 investment to make one meal. Of course, make it again and again and again. The cost goes. It makes sense, but like you said, if somebody's doing this once in a blue moon or just wants to try it, that investment isn't so heavy. So yeah,
Right. Not to mention time investment. Like that's a sauce, like that means they're simmering, like you've already done the heavy lifting, like bringing those flavors together, marrying those flavors. So like you're spending the money to buy those ingredients, but you're also spending the time to chop up the ingredients, like saute them, simmer them, like all of that's already done.
Yeah, hope you get the complex, blend right and all that good stuff. A mentor one time told me, he was like, people have no problem picking up a jar of spaghetti sauce for $9. He's like, it's tomatoes and basil and water and salt. What the heck? So, yeah,
That's so true.
Very true.
yeah, no, it's so wild, isn't it? Yeah, but yeah, it's all messaging. When you have a kind of a unique product that isn't the norm, it's that messaging that resonates with customers. And I've been on just Penny knows, and Haley, you guys have seen my social media change, because I've been DIYing everything. I mean, it has gone through 1,000 incarnations. So in our coloring and our branding, and I mean everything. So we're now finally hitting it right, and really working on all that. So it's been a fun journey.
Well, it's great to have you be a part of FoodSocial as a part of that journey. And we're all just so appreciative as a community of creators and brands to have Mesa de Vida as part of our brand community, supporting at the highest level possible too. So we're very appreciative, and thank you so much for being a part.
Thank you. Just let me know how I can help with any of y'all. So for sure, just think of me as one of your other creators. That is one of the brands. Honestly, I would love to be very collaborative with you. So
Well, we would love that too. And we're just so grateful to have you on board.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm very appreciative.